gentlemen, I'm your host, Brandon Groce, and I want to welcome you to Real Talk, brought to you by Editor X, the world's most powerful no-code web design platform for designers and creatives alike. Real Talk is a live show where we share with you exciting design, news, trends, career advice, and conversations with thought leaders in the space, entrepreneurs, agency owners, and more around no-code, UI, UX, product design, and the marketing spaces, and on top of that, so much more. If that sounds right up your alley, do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you can come back each week to get your daily and weekly dose of information. And also, if you feel so inclined, don't forget to like this video. It helps tremendously. So with that said, let's jump into today's conversation. Going live. Howdy everybody, welcome back to another portfolio review with me and our amazing guest Jaslin. Tonton, thank you guys so much for RSVPing for this session and also sharing your portfolio with us. I know a couple of you all have definitely shared many renditions of your portfolio. For example, there's some of you guys out there with you've come to the portfolio reviews, and some of you have like your fourth version sharing with us today. So I'm talking to all of you guys who are here with us live, and also for many of you who are going to come after the fact, because we know we have an international audience. So I just want to say hello and thank you to all of you who have arrived and have showed up today. And I want to know where you guys are coming from, and also I would love to know if you all have shared a portfolio with us, because if you're here in the chat, you guys are going to get some special service. And we'll start with your portfolio first. You just have to let us know. JT is in the chat. What's going on? Howdy doody. All right. So last but not least, we have to introduce our amazing guest for today. And I even gave him a nice little clap animation while we introduce him. Please help me welcome Jaslin Tonton to the stage, everybody.
Hello. How's it going? So, I got confused that when you say JT, I thought you were talking about me. But you weren't. You were talking about JT in the chat.
Because you're J2, you're JT too as well.
JT is representing everywhere, so I appreciate you, JT, for coming.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Man. First off, thank you guys for your patience. Jaslin has had, before we got on this call, this man was trying to drive 3 cars at once. But he's here, we're here to help y'all out. And as we have started to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we're trying to keep this thing to an hour. There were 10 portfolios, but we're gonna stick with main concepts. And I'm kind of speaking over Tonton. He's really gonna tell you this stuff, but we're gonna start with concepts that are good in portfolios, and then we're gonna dive into all the portfolios that were submitted and try to apply all those concepts that we shared with you all, and where we see them in the portfolio and where we could really see where we want to see them a little bit more. So Jaslin, before I hand off the baton to you, I just want to also say finally, what's going on, Dima? Katarina, hello. Hannah, hi. Jasmine, welcome. I see some of you guys are popping in already, and I know today is Friday, so there might be some stragglers. All right, Jaslin.
No, you said it all. And just want to reiterate, thank you everyone for coming. I know, like I said every time, and I will always say it, it takes a lot of courage to submit your portfolio, to have it reviewed, and then being live stream and all that. So really, really means a lot for all of you that turn in. So again, like I said, every time we get in this thing, a lot of the stuff you're gonna hear, it's gonna sound redundant because we say it over and over every week. But the thing about portfolio, that's exactly what it is. We're not here to reinvent the wheel. We're not here to we're not coming up with a new formula on how to make your work stand out. We're just using what's been proven, what's been tested. But at the same time, I also want to encourage you to, yes, we're not trying to change your case studies and all those things, but you still need to make your portfolio about you. It's your work, it's your portfolio, and it should represent you as a person. So take the feedback that you get, but still apply your own twist and your own individuality into it. So that being said, Brendan, what are we starting with? We're just gonna dive straight into the work, and get going. And like he mentioned, I was doing 4 different things before I jump in this call. So there were a couple of things he had sent me the list. This time it's not him, it's me. He had sent me the list. I did not have a chance to click on it today. Although I did take a
We're
look at some of the
working
stuff
people, guys. we come in to swoop in to help y'all, but we are working individuals, hard sweating men on the
well,
internet. Okay,
yeah, except for the sweating part.
I'll just take that one.
Appreciate you. But I did take a look at some of the work, that was submitted on Discord, throughout the week as they were coming in. So I'm familiar with some of the stuff. Today I didn't have a chance to set the list up, so it's not like I'm being completely out of the loop or anything.
Yeah, and we have a pretty simple list today, man. So I did give you. Were you able to open that Discord link that I sent you?
Yeah, I figured we are gonna start with the people that are in the chat, like as we've said before, and then
Oh,
just
right.
give them a chance to really get the feedback since they're the one that turn in. So if that's cool, we can do that.
All right, let's do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is really up to you, okay? If you can very quickly put one in the chat, or not even just one in the chat, but if you guys can give us your Discord name, and also even if you could just type in your website name in the chat, just to help us a little bit easier because if you guys are here, we want to focus on that conversation. Those who want to come a little bit later, they snoozed, so they losed. All right, that's proper English. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of 30 seconds to a minute to put that in the chat. Other than that, Tori, what is happening? Hello, everybody. Happy to be here. We are happy to be here as well. I know there's a little bit, as always, YouTube, any streaming platform, there's about like 30 to a minute lag in terms of when you guys actually hear what we're saying. So, all right, let's see. But anyways, other than that, while we're waiting, Tonton, how's the day? It seems like it's been a busy ass day.
Yeah, it's been a crazy morning, but honestly, I can't complain. It's the weekend. I'm excited to get out there. If I get the chance, play some golf. My wife just bought me some fruit, so appreciate that.
Very nice.
I won't be
food?
eating it. Hey, what? It's fruits. You want to see it? Look at this beautiful plate. Like I won't be eating live as we stream, but I will definitely be trying to nibble as
he's
we
gonna
go.
be drooling while he's giving. He's like, and that portfolio. All right.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be good. Like if I'm full, then I bring my best. It's like so. I'm gonna be very, very good. It's gonna be obviously. I'm gonna be constructive. I'm gonna give you feedback that are important and help you improve. That's the goal of this. But at the same time, with a full belly, can't complain. All right, let's do this.
Can't complain at all. I like that. All right, so we're gonna start here. We're gonna start with Rune. So Rune, I dropped the link both in. Tonton, you can grab it from wherever. I put it both in the YouTube chat, and I also, you got it.
No, it didn't work.
All right.
It says it was the Behance, right? It's a page not
yeah.
found.
It's broken.
You can't even copy a simple link, Brendan.
Let me see. We're gonna try again.
JT, you're right. Like it is art. I think my wife's a designer at heart.
Yeah, it was not only the fruit, but the link should open. It looks when I send it to you. I clicked on the link. It works for me.
Oh, excuse me. Here it is. It worked now. So. It wasn't me. It was you. All right, let's do this. Yeah. So this will be pretty simple and pretty quick because this is not an actual site, so we're not gonna be able to judge like too much on everything else. So we're just gonna go into the portfolio and and give some feedback. And if we've seen this before and you've gotten feedback from us before and you made some changes, it'll be good to know so we can so I can skip some of the stuff that we repeated last time. But if this is your first time, we'll just kind of go through it and and go from there. Brendan, you keep an eye on the chat and let me know as I scroll through this and get a sense for what we're looking at and how that sound.
Sounds beautiful, man. Will do.
All right. Okay, so I'll stop here and just kind of like right off the bat, like again, I want to emphasize that feedback are meant to be constructive. They're not a personal. They're not to be taken personal. They're not an attack on you as an individual. It's just a way of trying to help you improve the work. So the first thing I would say, I think like there's a like first of all, there's a lot going on in this. Like I'm just gonna be blunt. There's too much going on in this. Like it's just really hard for me to come here as a school to really like. Even though you like, I understand. Like you just sometimes like we just have so much information and we're trying to give all of it attention. But when you have that much going on, it's really hard for somebody that's reviewing the work, looking to hire somebody to really sit there and be able to take everything in. So first feedback would be take everything you have in there, simplify it, and only keep about maybe 20% of it. And I know that's like a lot, but that would be my first step. And then from there, that 20%, and I would say like just start simplifying things, right? Like focus on the message and the storytelling aspects of this. Like what is the story that you're trying to tell with this case study? Like right now, it's hard for me to know the story because it's just a lot of things going on in every aspect, even like from that intro in this image, like where you have like the Apple TV, you have the MacBook, you have like a TV, there's a phone. There's just a lot of things for me to kind of like process, to compute all at once, right? So I don't really know what to expect. In again, if I sit there and read the copy, and I'm reviewing this as I would if I was actually hiring for the position, right? Like I wouldn't be sitting there and reading all of the copy and trying to understand, like, what you're trying to say. So yeah, so I would say like, you want to trim down some of this, like by a lot, even if you are in a UX position and you are looking for a UX, so you're not really focusing on the UI aspects of things. There's just still a lot of copy and just a little too much moving pieces. So I would trim this down by like 80%, and then just think of the story that you're trying to tell. And even like I would even go as far as to say like, write it down. Like, what is the story that you're trying to tell? Start with that intro section, and then go on the body, and then come to a conclusion, and then just simplify it as best as you can. And again, feel free to reach out on Discord, and then we can like maybe have one-on-one session where we develop like what you're looking to do a little bit more and really help you tell that story. But right now it's just a lot to take in, and I think it could just overall it can be simplified a little bit more. By a little bit I mean a lot more.
So, and I think that's pretty much a good start. Like, for those of you who are here who haven't submitted their portfolios, who are maybe thinking about in the beginning how to start with your portfolio, I think it was. And first off, I want to say, Rune, thank you for helping us start with this first. All of the information that we kind of gave you there, I know it was very vague, but what we are going to go through in terms of the rest of the portfolios today, I think especially the next one, you will start to see a lot of patterns that we basically A-okay, or that we're like, yo, this is actually really good. This is what you want to do more of. And actually, we were supposed to start with that, but we saw you in the chat. We jumped the gun, and that's really my bad. But for everybody who is watching here today, and there are some repeat watchers, it's really important for, give me a second here. It's really important for not just to, I know everybody wants to get their portfolio reviewed, but we repeat ourselves for good reason each month, because these are important fundamentals that really everybody should have in their portfolio. And it's even for case studies, is what is it that you're working on? What problem are you trying to solve? What was your solution? And there's different ways of actually showing those things. You can have images. You can have a really decked out, well-designed portfolio. You can have that done in, some people are really good with words. I'm not, and nor am I good at reading them. But in my opinion, I love images, and even more than that, I love when people add prototypes and or videos. So, Tonton, we actually have you can totally add on to that, but I just wanted to add that piece in there to contextualize some of the feedback there, because some people might be like, well, where's the actionable stuff in there? We'll get to it, guys. And if you continue to come to these each month, and also We didn't actually open with this, but Tonton actually has a wait list for one-on-one mentorship for things like portfolio reviews. You guys can find the wait list down in the description underneath, where you guys can continue to follow and interact with Tonton on the internet. But the next thing I want to do, Tonton, we can kind of go through just from top down. If you just go to the Discord where all the links are for the portfolios, we can start off with Victorio.
Yeah, I can do that. You could also send me the link, but you know, I got it. Here we go. All right, so I'm gonna click on one of these. Let's see. Let's do this quadrant. Okay, so and you know, I want you to so one of key thing that we're looking for, right? And I love that, like, the dichotomy between these two that we just looked at. And like, you know, and I think, again, I want to go back to this one for a little bit to say, like, there are definitely a lot of things that can be, like, if you simplify this, there's definitely a lot of really good stuff in there. It's just you trying to put too much, right? So I don't want my feedback to discourage you. I want my feedback to help you be better. So let's look at this example and just right off the bat, things that you can do, right? So from the start, like, having an idea of what to expect is ideal, which is what we were missing, right? So I see the image, I see all these things, but I didn't know what to expect. So having, whether it's the problem statement or the creative brief in this case, what your job title, or what did you do, whether it was like, in here we know, okay, for Wax Sugar, this person did logo design, branding, and illustration. The client was Korean Fusion, and then they gave us a little bit of a creative brief. You know, it says read more, but there's no more, but okay. You know, and one other thing I would love to see in here that's not there would be like the problem statement and how you solved it. But even without that, at least I have a lot more, like, just if I spend the time, I read this creative brief, I understand what to expect. I understand, okay, you did the design, you did logo design, and then illustration, right? So as I scroll, now I know what to pay attention to. I know what you worked on, and I know what to expect as I scroll. So this little bit just really helped, like, just put context as I scroll down and to take a look at the work. So that's always a great thing to have, like, right off the beginning, just add a little bit of context. Just like any great story, imagine like this was the summary of that story, right? So, and we know that they did the logo, so I'm looking at the logo, I'm looking at what's happening in here. And then now they start with visuals, and then like there's you know, some good imagery going on, and then they go on to talk about the process. Kind of like scrolling back and forward because I have some questions, but I'll keep scrolling. Yeah, yeah, like, I mean, like, so the one the one thing which is a rare thing for me to ask is like, I would, it sounds crazy coming from me, like, I would absolutely love to see a little bit more copy. I know I always ask for less, but I want to see a little bit more, just just to kind of like put, like, you know, I need to know context, right? Like, these visuals, yes, you did branding, like, they look amazing, they look great, but like a little bit of context on what is happening, like, it doesn't have to be a lot of words, like, it can be just like maybe like one sentence, right? Like, per section, just kind of like break it down a little bit, and like maybe you have them all here, but like just kind of like in between, that would have been great to see. So a couple questions that I have, like, I think, like, in the top, like, right, so you have I got a little confused again, and I think this is where context could have come in handy, because I see this logo and I see this logo, and then I'm just seeing like many version of the logo, but I don't know which one you did and which one is like a spin-off of, like, you know, so that's why I'm saying, like, a little bit of context with the copy would have really helped remove the guesswork, because the last thing you want as somebody is reviewing, like, you know, you're looking for a position, somebody's going to your work, is for them to have to kind of like guess what you did and what is going on. So I think just a little bit of context around this type of images, because this rock sugar logo is very different from this one on top, or even as we scroll down, like, you know, like we're seeing this again. So I'm assuming this is the logo, but again, you see the problem is I'm making assumptions, right? So a little bit of context with copy. This looks great. I would also say maybe like you could probably start with one of your stronger images. Like I think this image looks really strong and give context right away. It's a food company, maybe a food truck. This is the logo. I think it gives more than just this one, even though that looks cool, like the illustration looks cool, but I think that image and that logo just cheating on top is just it's just really nice. I would start with that, give it a little bit of context on why we're looking at these, and then just scroll down and then seeing the rest. But overall, like, logo looks great. The illustration styles like really carries across really nicely. Seeing them in the mock-ups, always a plus. And yeah, altogether really nicely done. Just a little bit more context with some copy. Brendan, anything to add?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, I think the I'm literally going to say the same thing as you did. Like, they had the creative brief at the top, what exactly they were doing, but as you get into the actual creative, you're like, so they did something with the website, they did some merchandise, yeah. You know, maybe they did some signage. You know, it looks like they did some brand colors, but we don't actually get to see, or in a way that quickly, right? To see, okay, they did do some things with the website. They did do, you know, some logo lockup stuff. Like, what were the actual deliverables? Right now, we're looking at really dope branding work. Yeah. But I think right at the top, after, you know, you give the creative brief, again, kind of the triangle that we talked about. What was the problem, right? The creative brief. This is why they came to you. What was the solution? And just bullet pointing those things. Did you do some stationery? What did you do on their website? There was a mock-up related to web related things. You know, did you do billboards? Did you do menus? That's really important, so that when we see these images, or even next to the images, we're like, oh, okay, this was the new splash image for, so we can actually put that together, because we understand you're an amazing designer, but we don't know what you solved. And that makes it very difficult if I am a restaurant, or if I'm an agency who does a lot of work with restaurants, and we want to bring you on board. You know, I just know you do really good graphical work, and I don't understand what. Did you just make these things and just slap them on your website, or were there very particular things where problems were that you decided to make these pieces? Because the thing is, like, if I have clients, right? If I'm an agency, I'm like, all right, the typical restaurant client that we work with, they need brochures, they need new website, they need new menus, new signage, things like that. I'm gonna have those are my bullet points in my brain. And so when I look to hire you, I'm like, okay, at the top, boom, I already see, like, just from your homepage, your site is fire. All right, we go to Rock Sugar, great. Creative brief, awesome. What was made? Mock-ups, new signage, new menu design, new this, that, and the other. And it's just bullet pointed underneath the creative brief. Then we're like, oh, they are able to make these deliverables, and those deliverables look fire. All checks. So that's the type of copy. You don't have to write a shit ton. It's just creative brief. This was the problem that they had. My solutions were these deliverables. By the way, here they are down below. And I have titles next to each one of them to signify what is what. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, it's as simple as that. It just, again, like, just to like summarize everything we just said, like, context, right? Like, give some context on what is happening, because we don't want to, we like recruiters and like even creative directors that have to review portfolio, like we don't have the time to play the guessing game. And I think I saw in the chat you mentioned that you're not a great writer. Like, I mean, like, I'm not either, like, you know, but this is just one of those things, like, you don't need to be like Hemingway to write like, like a little bit of content. Just write it how you would say it, and then tweak it, right? Like you just keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Just be like, if you were doing an elevator pitch to someone, how would you say that? Then write that, and then simplify it, and maybe find a friend that's a better writer that can help you like clean it up, because I'm not. So I understand it, but like you just need it just need a little bit more. Okay, so moving on to the next person in there, it's a Figma link. I'm always cool with that. Don't have a problem with a Figma link. Obviously, it's a work in progress. We understand that. So, I'm a like click anywhere to continue. All right. So, I know we're not giving feedback like in terms of copywriting, but what I would tell you, again, maybe this is, again, like I said, take everything I say, like it's like I think a good example is like it's like if you're eating a chicken, right? Like take the meat, throw away the bones. If something I say you don't agree with, think of it as the bone, just throw it away, but take the stuff that you agree with. I would caution using, like on your portfolio, using something like jack of all trades, because most companies are looking for a specific skill set, right? And then you're looking for somebody that can do job A and job B. And then when I see jack of all trade, I'm like, okay, you can't be masters of everything. Like, they say masters of everything, like, I don't know. I'm not good with these things, but like, you can't be masters of everything. So I just really want you to be like, what are you looking for? What position are you looking to get hired for? Because a jack of all trade, if I'm looking for a handyman, are you it? Like, I just need a little bit more details, right? Like when I come here, like, tell me what position you want to do. Do you want to be an illustrator? Well, mention that. Do you want to be a UI UX designer? Then mention that. You like, just do that, as opposed to saying things like jack of all trades. Again, don't want to spend too much time on copy, but just something like, to keep in mind, like, again, when people don't have time when they're looking at these works, speed is the key. All right, scroll to the right. Okay, so it's your experience. I want to get to the work. Continue. All right. Okay, so this is a case study for 4K. Okay. Yeah, like that. You tell me the company name. You tell me your role. Like the only other thing I would love to see here is, again, like the problem and the solution. I know, like I said it all the time, sometimes we think like, oh, we want to save like that solution for that wow moment, that wow factor at the end. But trust me when I say, like, just having it up front is so much better for you, because then as I scroll to, like, I know the problem that you set out to solve, and you tell me how you solved it. So I have those in my mind as I scroll to, and I'm just paying attention to, like, oh, I see your thinking. I see your, like, how you thought that. Like, it just gave a lot more, like, just having this context up front. Great. So a couple of things I would say right away, like, again, it took me a little bit too long to actually see anything visual, like, as I come here, like, like I always say, like, if you can, like, you have like this splash here, which is fine. You have the company name, you have your role, you have the problem statement, you have the solution. Like, the next thing I would ideally would love to see is something like, if your solution was something visual, just give me a glimpse of what to expect, like just something to keep me to want to scroll more, as opposed to just black up text. Like, text is fine, like I was just telling in the previous site we look at, a little bit text for context, but just having black up text with no visual, especially as a designer and UI designer, like, you just want to have a little bit of visual, like upfront, like, boom, like, here's the thing, here's some visual, here's some more stuff. Things that I don't think like you need, like, in here, which I rarely see them add anything other than just be there just to make it, your site look like longer. Like the competitive analysis, right? Like, you have these logos, they big, they upfront, they taking so much space, but they're not really doing anything. They're just competitors logos that A, you didn't do, B, that's not the focus of your of your solution. So if you want to have them, you could either downplay them, like they don't need to be this big, taking this much space, or just have it in words. You don't need to advertise for the competitors on your case studies. Empathizing with the users, well, that's expected, right? If you're a UX designer, like your solution that you come up with, we expect you to be able to step on the user shoes and understand. So you don't really need to say that. Just let the work speak for itself. If you're going to say it, it doesn't need to be so big and in your face while you're taking time for me to actually get to what's important. Wireframe in stages, again, great image, but it doesn't really do anything for me. I can't, it just tell me you did a lot, which is good, bad, I don't know, but I can't really take any of these, like, because I can't see them, like it's so far, like I can't it. So overall, less is more. So if you want me to focus on one or two things, just give me like two of the strongest image that you have, or maybe just a couple things that's a little bit, that can tell me a little bit more. But having a screens like that, it's great that you did a lot of work, but it doesn't really say anything in terms of like I would probably get rid of this. If you can't have maybe one or two things where you zoom in into the work and really just give more details, I would get rid of this, because it doesn't really say or do anything. These are where your money shots are. And for these, again, like you took so much room where, like, instead of having all of these in one section, you could be using the screen and get rid of this and start using the screen to tell a story, right? Like start maybe with, like, you know, two screens over here with a little bit of captions of what the screens are, and then another two screens with a little bit of captions of what they are, and then just kind of like really tell a more narrow story and more be in control of it, right? Right now you just have so many things, I can't focus on one thing or another, and because of that, all of this great work, like I can't focus on all the details because it's just overwhelming, right? So where you could have just started with 3 screens and just a little captions of what's happening, and then another 3, a little caption, and then you get rid of things like all of these copies and this competitor stuff. But overall, the work looks great. It just took a little bit long for me to get there, to see all this great stuff. But good job. Brendan, anything to add?
I agree with you. I one of the things that I would say is I really like the design of the portfolio. It's just that getting to, like you said, getting to what we want to see, like a actual project, it takes too long. And on top of that, what takes too long is not even the scrolling factor. It's I actually got stuck with the horizontal scrolling. I couldn't actually even scroll. I had to grab the screen to go. So my friend, what I would highly recommend here is I think you're being very creative. I love the design of your portfolio, but we kind of have to think about this as a UX project as well, our portfolio. And if we want, what is the end goal that we're trying to help our user do? Hire us. How do we allow somebody to hire us a little bit easier? Allowing them to get to our work, to understand what value we bring. And if you're already through a creative means, which is as an artist, as a creative, I think what you did is amazing. But you're kind of putting hurdles for the person who's trying to hire you. You're giving them hurdles to kind of overcome just to get to your work. So what's it called? I'm just trying to open up on my end. I had all the sites up, guys. For example, I think just one other, I guess not tactical, but specific things. I'm gonna make a shirt with that. Where you have the final product, like I really like how you mock these up, and
Yes.
how could we? I mean, you have even your portfolio is in a really well done prototype in Figma. How can you bring this really amazing product? And kind of link to a prototype for this as well, and be able to at the top where you're listing, because I think you did an awesome job. Forky, company's Forky, the sector is restaurants and events. Your role, entire product design from research conception, yada yada yada. You give about the product or about the project. What I think is important here, and I think Tonton already mentioned it. What was the problem? Separate it. What was the problem? What was the solution? And then have a CTA to be able to look at a prototype and or images. So I don't care if it's just like a little link that anchors you down to like the work, but some way to allow the people who are looking at your portfolio to access the end product of what you produced after looking at your problem and solution. Because once we understand that, we're just trying to see what you made.
Yeah, he said it beautifully. My boy.
That's my boy.
I mean, you nailed it. Yeah, the work is great. It just, like sometimes, like, we get caught up on these things where like we have great work and we do them injustice by not serving them properly or waiting too long to like put all this content. Again, I know I was just telling someone else they need more content, and now I'm telling you, like, if you're going to have like the content, just like move them around a little bit. Don't put all of these things on top that we don't need, like, and it just takes too long to get to all the great stuff that you did. All right, Leon. Oh, and I think like my buddy helped me out in the and thanks for tuning in, Big T. Helped me out in the chat. It's jack of all trades, masters of none, like master of none, right? So I sometimes like words. So yeah, let's look at this. I don't know. This one is highlight. Is this one like highlighted on purpose? Like, I mean, I don't know, but this one doesn't have that border, so this one does. So I'm gonna click on it. All right, web and mobile e-commerce, the purpose. Okay. A role. You're missing an E on roll. Again, I'm really bad with typing stuff. Like I literally like I have a friend that I always have to go to her to help me with stuff. But like just little things like this is important. So make sure you add the E in here. UX designer, presentation. Oh, it says locked. Password required. Okay, so
Which portion was password required?
If you click on the presentation.
Oh.
Which is fine. I think we can still see the rest of it. I'm just gonna go to another project. Hopefully one that's not password required. Yeah, I'm just gonna look at this one instead. Which I understand the need to have like NDA and all that. It gets crazy, so I get that. Okay, so we're gonna look at this project instead. And again, this is something like I know Brendan is probably smiling over here when he see this link. Like it just says prototype. It said check it out. Like he's probably smiling. He's excited right now. He's clicking on this. I'm clicking on it. So I love, like, I know your role, I know the date. I'm gonna repeat it. I love to know the problem in the solution that you were solving, so that way when I click on that prototype I have more context. But either way, that the fact that you have it up front, it's easy. I'm gonna click on it. I'm gonna and it is okay. If you're going to have it and it's not gonna be password protected, you have to let us in. You can't tease us like that. So that's something you need to like, because keep in mind, like recruiters will not reach out to you, send you an email, be like, hey, can you let us in? This could be an opportunity that you missed out on. So just something to keep in mind. If it's not a password protected site, just like, and if it is, it should follow the same template that you had in that previous one that let us know that it's secure and we cannot build it. So don't tease me like that. Cool. Anyway, you see, like, oh, so you did have it. You did have your problem and solution, which again, I don't have a problem with it being where it is. Like here, there's multiple way of doing it. That's all great. You could have it up front. You could have it there, as long as it's not too far to get to. Again, this is where you can. It's your portfolio. Do as you please. But as long as you have these things and they're not too far down the page, it's good for me. Brendan might have a problem with it, but I don't. Like the problem, like the goal, love the solution. This is what we've been talking about. Tell me what you solve. I will read it. I will pay attention to it. So as I scroll, I know what to expect. Um, like again, I'm hesitant to click on these. Oh, this one worked. Okay. so I'm curious on like, I mean, I'm gonna scroll to both, but I'm gonna go to see the complete project.
This is a nice rendition too.
Yeah, it's clean. I mean, you probably know what I'm going to say, because I always say it. But like this is clean. This is nice, and you already know that it's clean, and you already know that it's nice. But things I think you could do to improve on it, um, I think understanding the problem, the solutions, like these are like great to have things like you have a again you're giving a preview of what to expect right here. Great. I never find a useful case for user personas ever on a portfolio. They there's nothing about a persona that's designed that's like so different from every other personas. It's a persona, it's a photo with an age and some information. Um, to me, it's just fillers. You could probably kill that. I don't think it would hurt you. Like it will make it faster to get to what's important. Um, you know, these again, nice to have. Like I don't know if you absolutely need them. Like, but maybe you do. Maybe it's further down the page. I don't know. This is a personal preference, so take it with a grain of salt. It's like again, like that chicken example, or up, like or cherry pie, spit out the seed and not the cherry. Um, it just, I would probably, yeah, I would. So whatever you choose to remove, I would remove a couple things because it's just getting a little bit long and it's taking a little bit like if you gotta have wireframe, you can get rid of the low fidelity wireframe. I mean, personally, I would say get rid of wireframes altogether because who cares? It's just gray boxes. While you actually,
I think for this, I think for this one, like this works out. Like I feel like where they win is on their yeah.
I understand. Like, go ahead, Brandon.
What are we understanding?
No, I'm saying I understand. Like like again, I'm nitpicking here, right? And I mentioned that I'm like that's why I stated like it's a pick or leave kind of situation. But the goal for me is like, well, I'm looking at this from my perspective, right? If I'm reviewing this, like the goal for me, like the wireframe rarely add anything that the final product doesn't add for me. Like I almost expect you to know how to wireframe, right? It's like, yeah, you're a designer, you know how to wireframe. Like if I never see one of your wireframe, I'll be fine with that because it doesn't matter. Like I'm looking at the final product, I'm looking at the final visual product, I'm looking at that. That's what's important to me. But to some other people, the wireframe might also be important. But when it start, I don't think a low fidelity wireframe is ever needed. Like I would go as far as to say, if you're going to remove one thing, just remove the low fidelity wireframe and keep maybe a high fidelity wireframe at the most. But I digress. But Brendan disagreed with me, which is fine. It's okay to like we disagree sometimes, and you know. But overall, like, it's a good thing. We're finding out so much positive that we're finding reason to disagree on things that we want to remove. So it's a good problem to have. Your portfolio has a good problem where like there's a lot of good stuff. Now we're just nitpicking on small things that we like. Oh, you could do without that. You could shorten it. You could do this. So I think overall it looks great, but it could be a little bit shorter. That's all I'm saying. Like I think there's a couple things in here that you could probably do without that could shorten it a little bit and get to the meat of going a little bit faster. Brendan, go ahead and discuss.
Yeah, I think if that was standalone, we would have an issue. We would definitely say cut it short. We don't need all that. But I think the fact that the first experience we have of this is we get to see the problem, the goal, the solution, the challenge, and not only that, they also showed the prototype up front. So we're getting like we might not even need to go that far to make our decision. They make it really easy for us. The only thing is that, open up that prototype thing so that people can actually get into it.
I'll take one step back. This is, so in here, you almost did what I'm looking for. And I think you could. There's here like you could probably add a little bit more context to some of these, right? And then when I click in here, it takes me to that full thing, which now that I'm looking back again, I still think low fidelity wireframe personas don't add anything. That's just my personal preference. But overall, I love the shortened version that's in your site, and then the extended version if I want to see more. But in the shortened version, I think you just need a little bit more context with some of these section. I think you can I can't click on these to make them bigger, so that's you're missing out in here. Like you want to be able to make, like if I want to zoom in into these images, want me to be able to click and zoom in into them and get more. But other than that, overall, you have a good problem. So like overall the site it's strong. I think the portfolio is strong, and we're nitpicking on small stuff. So
yeah, like I feel like I would personally I would give that like a that's good for me. I feel like I get everything that I need. The only thing is that prototype thing. Like just from what you have, like you set it up really well with giving like bullet points. Here was the here was my role. Here was the date. Here's the prototype. Here's a hot, sexy mock-up of what it is that we're about to jump into. Problem, goal, solution, challenge. What does the complete project include? All these things. If you care to look at the entire portfolio, which some people are nitpickers, and some people will want to see wireframes, dog. So
ooh, I felt hurt.
I'm just giving I feel the person who made this covered their bases in
they absolutely
in
did.
a lot of ways. Yeah,
they absolutely did, and you should be proud of this. Like it's great. It gives context. It checks everything we've been talking about.
right.
But now, so the thing is, like, there's a part where you get to when you do something that's great, then we look for things that we're like, okay, can we push this further? Can we nitpick on it? So we're just nitpicking on small things. And I still strongly believe, and Brendan could disagree with that, a low fidelity wireframe and personas has nowhere, they don't need to be in a portfolio. But I will die on that hill though. So like there's no changing my mind, but that's a personal thing, and you don't have to take it up because I said so. Like this is just a personal thing, and it's not like I won't hire you because you have it. I just think it's unnecessary. So that said, great job, really strong work, and let's move on. I think we have time for maybe one or two more at best.
Yeah, let's do these last two. So I sent you they're both, I believe, in the live chat. So I know they were awesome. Like late to the submission, but they're in the live chat. They found the live stream. So we have Body. It's either Body or Badich. And I apologize if I don't have that name correct. Let's see. So we have got that, and then we have
I'll pull it up
Anastasia.
Now. Pull it up now. And I promise I won't be as nitpicky. No, I will definitely be as nitpicky.
It's either Anastasia or Anastasia.
But that's what we come here for, though, right? Like, to nitpick on small things to help, like, like to get better, to help improve. So, yeah, I mean, dude, visually, yeah. like eye candy all the way. I love it. I'm all for eye candy. Oh, tell me I can click on this. Okay, my computer's being slow. Brendan hacked me because he disagreed with me. Like for real, I'm having a hard time like clicking and seeing these things. I mean, I think in here, like I can only judge this from purely from in a UI perspective, right? And as a designer, I come in this page, I'm like, I'm looking for somebody that knows how to design like uiux. Like the works are strong. It's just, I mean, that obviously, right? Yeah, they look fantastic, but I would caution about just using dribble alone when you're trying to apply for work, because a lot of time, yes, the eye candy is great, it's good to look at that. I use it. I have them. I have a dribble page. I love experimenting in it. I love trying new things. I love pushing stuff. And it's great when you have that freedom with no client feedback. You get to pick your own photos and you can match it. You can make everything look exactly perfect. So I look at this, I'm like, yeah, like purely from a UI perspective and visual design, you have it. It's there. You can see it like on every piece that you make, like, right? But um, as a UX designer, like, that's a different story. Like even as a UI, so it's one thing to do stuff like, for Dribble that just like looks pretty, but it's another thing. Like, are you able, like the challenge with Dribble is like, can you translate these things to when you get a brief from a client and build something based on client's needs and all of those things, which is what we're missing when we look at these Dribble pieces. So it's good exercise to have these things, but there's not really a lot to judge in here, just because it's Dribble. So, but overall, like, if great work. Like, yeah. Brendan, anything to add?
No, I'm gonna leave that with you, man. I think what you had is, or really what you mentioned is spot on. I think it's important to just like, we can tell design wise you do great work, but sometimes, and also depending on your clients, right? Like I know sometimes I see some really hot work on Instagram and I'm like, yo, I literally I saved that work and I put them in a folder of like people I want to hire.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just depending on like, especially if you're a freelancer and really what your clientele looks like or who you're going after. There's a million ways to skin a portfolio and there's not just one way fits all. We've looked at a lot of portfolios today that are tackling semi-similar or geared towards like wanting an employer. But there are also a lot of freelancers who just do freaking bomb ass work.
Like
and all it, yeah, and all it takes is somebody to see it online and be like, wow, I'm looking for something similar. Let me actually talk to them. So great work, my friend. And I just wanted to share that with everybody. And also I wanted to say in the chat, Tristan and Jasmine, I apologize. I missed your guys' comments earlier before, but Jason will take one more and I'll grab one more from you guys, because I didn't realize you guys were in the chat and you all have submitted earlier. So Tristan, let me.
Well, I'll stick around and get to and get to the people that showed up today. Well, at least two more.
Yeah, two more would be perfect. Yeah. Thank you, man.
Don't want to
overdo. All right, so let's do.
Yeah, I kind of want to like computers being slow. I think I might need to start closing some of these ones that were trying to get them open. But I would say, like, I think what you said about like, these type of work is exactly that. Like, if you are a freelancer and you just want, like, because I've worked at companies where we've hired people that just like, we like, okay, we're just looking for somebody that just has an eye for design. They just have the visual aspects down, and that's all there is. It's just a really strong UI designer, and you're gonna come in. You're just here to just make things look amazing, right? And like, if that's the type of work that you want to do, or you just want to be a freelancer that just create amazing stuff, this is it. But if you're looking to work for like some of the bigger companies, or like an agencies or things like that, like, you probably, to give yourself a better chance, you probably want to have, like an actual case study or showcasing like, how your solution like solving thing, because it's easier to come up with things where like if it gets hard, you're like, whatever, we'll change this direction, right? So, but like, we don't get the chance to really see how you solve problems, right? Looking at just these. But overall, I mean, seriously, these looks amazing. And I will definitely my computer's frozen, but when it's not frozen, I will probably be looking at some of your work later and follow you on Dribble if I have a chance to go back in there. Awesome. Anastasia. Sorry, I'm gonna not pronounce your name. I like this so far. I like starting with some visual. The only thing I'm missing in here, would love to know your wall, the problem, and the solution you were trying to solve. But other than that, like, I think just just starting, give me a little tidbits of what to expect as I scroll down. This looks really great. Um, yeah, but I wish I knew, like, what part of the project that you did. Like, what was it? Did you do the logo? Was it just the app design? And that's why those things on top are really important, to put things in context as I scroll down. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say it. Brendan is probably gonna disagree with me again.
No, I think. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna say. I again, I think, like, a lot of these are like really great things that you have, and maybe you can put them. Maybe you just find a way to, like, spread them around. Maybe, like, different things. Like, it's just really hard. Like, when you see like these things, like, okay, stakeholder interview, um, great, but, like, it's not a, like, I don't really have a whole lot to go on. Like it's not really adding much, because most we're not gonna stand around and actually trying to read all of these cards. So it just feels like we're stretching your portfolio when you could, like, simplify it a little bit. Um, but again, visually they looks great. So I think it's just, I want to get to the meat of things a little bit quicker, and this just feels like fillers. It's like a good show. You just want to get to the, like, to the thing, and then they just add a filler episode, and you're like, ah, come on, let's do this.
Naruto, straight up.
Exactly.
Just
Right,
25 fillers.
right, like, usability test again, like, great things to do, and you can mention all of that without actually showing them, because they're not visual things that you need to see visually. I think it's a problem statement or the brief, like, as part of the solution we did this and that, and then you keep it short and simple, and then you just get to the actual solutions, right? um like, things like these are like good, like, because you see, like, you have the screen, and then you have a little bit of explanation. This is what I
Yeah,
was
I
talking
like
about
that.
earlier, like context, right? Like, oh, here's this thing, and here's how you do that. Even though, like, this is obvious how you do it, but it's still good to put context. Like the calendar, like, you highlighting sections that you really want to stand out. Like, these are great, and I wish you would have put these before all of these, like the personas and all of these other stuff. Like, especially the personas. Again, it's always the same. It's, an image, some stuff, and they not they don't add anything special. But these are amazing. Like, put those up front. Like, it's great with context, and I love the way this flowing. Like I love to see little context, and I think somebody we mentioned earlier, was it the Korean logo thinking, like, this is what I was talking about, like adding context. Like, even though, like, this is just explaining what's happening, like, because again, I'm not reading the full thing. I think maybe, like, but it's still just the way you breaking it down, where, like, I can take everything in and not feel overwhelmed, because I'm just taking one piece at a time, and I get to appreciate the design and the details that goes into the design. So, like, this is nicely done. um yeah, great job. Like, I think, like, I just wish, like, this is looks really fantastic. I would just shorten it a little bit. It just takes, like, the color palette is great. I think you can have the style guide. Wireframes, you know how I feel about it. That's just a personal thing. uh User flow, I don't think you need that, because, why? Because this is the same thing, just more visual. This is a user flow. This is telling me the same thing this little box here is telling me, except this is so much more interesting. This is the user flow. Like, you have it in a visual format. You don't need the boxes, like, which, is not adding much to it. Like, you have the user flow in a format. The personas, never needed. Um, User interviews, great. You can mention that you've done it. If you want to have them, you can put them further down the page. Personally, I think that other stuff you have, like, says a lot more. Um, yeah, and the only other thing I would say, like, on the top that I'm missing, was the problem, the solution, and I would love to know what your role was. Did you do the logo? Did you just do the app? Which I'm feeling like you only worked on the app, but I didn't know that as I was scrolling too. But overall, this looks really, really good work in this. I love it. I really do, and I don't see
Yeah,
that
this
often.
is a really strong piece. Like even though that we're nitpicking, like pull this out, pull that out, like regardless, that as a whole, very strong. Because if anybody has PTSD of like going through portfolios, it's recruiters and people like us. So we'll very quickly scroll and be like, there's the gold at the bottom. But very well put together. If you want to, shorten the gap of how much somebody needs to scroll, exactly what Tonton said. All right, let's try to do. Let's fit in one more, and then I'll let you roll out because I have Tristan and I have Jasmine. So
Awesome.
you can do one, and I will close out with the other.
Did you send me the link, or am I looking for it?
I dropped the two links in the DMs for you. So we have up next we have Tristan, and
Okay.
up
Yeah.
next we have Jasmine Crosby.
Got you. I see it. I'm all over the place, man. And oh, it's them fruits staring at me. I'm not taking a single bite. You know how hard that is. Um, awesome. I'm gonna jump to the one that like stood out to me the most the moment I jump in there, and the one that's the one in the middle. Is it because it's in the middle? I don't know, but it stood out. So, oh, check out the prototype.
Hey.
Yes, but but it's great. But I still want to see what your role was, what you did, what the problem was, and what the solution. Because without that context, looking at the prototype, although I
Yeah.
love seeing it up front, I don't really know what to expect. So even though I love seeing the prototype up front, I want to click on that shiny green button, and I'm going to click on it, but I would still encourage, and it doesn't even have to be like a here. You could just put it immediately underneath here somewhere, like or however you want to push is. But like, having the design problem, the solution, your role, and these are just the only three things I really, really want to see every time I click on one of these. Um, awesome, awesome. Let's look around. It's loading. It's loading. It's loading. You see, like without having that problem and that solution, I don't know what you solve. So I'm just looking at here, be like, eye candy, right? Like I'm just gonna click around, but I don't really know. I don't have enough context to know what exactly was the problem before, what you solved. Is this a new project? Like it's just context matter. I'll place a bid. Feeling 245, yeah. Brendan, make sure you Venmo me afterward.
I got you.
Appreciate that, cousin. Um, yeah, I mean, this is great. Like because I'm not here to judge the work itself. Like I'm here to judge the portfolio. So I'm not gonna go into details about things I think you could do in the work. Not that saying this has any, but my focus is on the portfolio, not the work itself. So having that prototype, I think is fantastic, and this is the way to do it. Like I can, this is a lot more than just having that persona, the user flow, and all of these other stuff. Which again, there might be a case for it, you know, but context. I just want a little bit more context on what you did, who you did it for. That's not even important. The problem, the solution that you solved, and it's that time of day when you can start hearing that ding ding ding. It's like my calendar told them I'm no longer on a call, so now they all hitting me up. Love the before and after. Like I always like before and after, but here's the thing: unless the before and after is like drastic, I tend to caution about putting it. Even though there's great improvement in this, but like again, like recruiters are not designers, and to the untrained eye, and you want to make sure, like you like, they're not designers. They don't always look for like the small details. To me, like the moment I look at this, I see a lot of great improvement. Um, in this thing, and I think it's great to have before and after. I'm not saying you shouldn't have before and after, but maybe like I don't know. I don't really know. I can see all the changes, and I love that there's a before and after. But at the same time, I don't know. Brendan, I need your opinion on this because I'm conflicted on whether we should keep this before and after. Is it big enough of a different? that you feel like at a glance, if a recruiter, not a designer, was looking at this, would be able to be like, oh, okay, great improvement from A to B.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that, man. I have nothing really else to say. Like, cause, yeah, you have it. The untrained eye is gonna be like, it's the same thing. They're not gonna like look, see the improvements. They can probably see the same images and be like, it's kind of just like when you're in those meetings and you're doing, you literally just did the wireframe, so people are like, this is the design. Like those are the people
Yeah.
that are sometimes might see this. So just rock with what Tonton mentioned. I won't step on his tongue there.
Yeah. So I would
That
say, like,
actually hurts my soul too when that shit happens. When it's just like you walk and you're like, let's actually talk about the strategy and hierarchy, and they're like, why is it gray? And it's just like,
right?
send me home, send me home. Out of curiosity, would love to know who has that happened to. I'm actually gonna make a poll because I just want to know how many headaches.
So here's another thing that I noticed, right? Like, great, it was your first. That's great, but don't downplay yourself. Like, why starting like this was like just be more confident. Like, you can, like, if you get that interview, then you can talk about how this was your first ever. Like, but the moment you put first, the moment you start putting like it's not necessarily a negative thing to have, but the moment you start like stating these things, like as I scroll to this, like I'm thinking like, oh, okay, this is a junior person. I'm expect like
Right.
you set like you're starting to set expectations on how I should take this in as I scroll, and then like it's not a I wouldn't start with this being your first sentence. Like I don't think you need to have that be like right off the bat letting people know that it's your first. Rather, move these up, the problem, the solution, whether this was your first, whether this is your 100, as long as you solve the problem that you set out to solve, no one cares. So I don't think you need to state it out this was your first, personally.
Right.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think, go ahead, Brendan.
No, I was basically just gonna say I agree with that. It's you want to say just I do this. You don't want
Yeah.
to set yourself up in some inferior way in their mind.
Yeah, be confident. Like I like to joke, and I used to always tell my mentee, I'm like, be like Kanye level confidence. But maybe not to that extreme anymore. But still, like, it's just a way of saying, like, just be confident. Like, it's okay, it's your first. Once you get that interview, when you start talking to that creative director, they're gonna know that, okay, you putting you in the field, but you don't have to go ahead and just let them know this was your first. And another thing, like, the because the images in here, like, I'm gonna make a stand and be like, don't put the before, right? Because I noticed the images are very bright and colorful and strong. It is the first thing that you notice, and then once you notice that, then you really don't feel like there's a difference between the two. Like, it's not that big of a difference between the two. So I would probably, for this extent, say like kill the before and just focus on what you did and how you've improved it and how it's much better. It doesn't matter what it looked like before. Um, Again, I think this section just need to be somewhere here, closer. The prototype can stay here. Just move that here. I would definitely get rid of that first ever sentence. Um, I'm not gonna mention anything about any of this. I think I've said it enough. People, I'm trying
Do
to
you need
look.
it? You got to run, buddy, because
No, no,
it's
they
starting to
can wait.
pop.
They can wait.
It's
I'm
starting to pop.
No, I'm joking. I probably will have to take a look at this in a little bit. But overall, I think this is great. I always love to. I'm gonna mute this for a second. I always love to see takeaway at the end, like, especially like when it's not for actual project, even when it is for a project. I love to see those insights, what you did, what you learned, or better yet, if it is for an actual project that's been live, you can put statistic on how you improve and how you make things better, whatever it is. Like, these are always great to have, and I love when a portfolio wrap up with that. And then easy for me to go to the next project. Overall, like, obviously I would caution about putting this type of images because I can't click on it. It's just a lot to take in. It do you a disservice to your work, but I don't know. I feel like like the top section here was really strong. I would probably spend more time like just really developing and going deeper into like the small details, like maybe like another one of these, why you did this and things like that. But overall, this looks great. And I know I have time for one more.
Yep, that's all we
But
got. We got one more, and that's it.
okay, if you want to add anything, Brendan, in the meanwhile to that one, go ahead. While I once again ask you to direct me where you send that link.
The DMs in Discord. It's
uh,
not the
Tristan,
last link. It's the Jasmine,
Jasmine.
Jasmine Crosby. Yeah.
Thank you. Short-term memory when you
No, it's all good, man. When you're
when you
orchestra, when you have the or the like the Slack is
exactly.
PTSD on steroids. You're thinking about that. You want to do one more thing here. No, I appreciate it, man. I know you're, and plus you've had a busy day. Like the fact that you came in like sweating and you hadn't eaten yet. Yeah, I owe
Yeah.
like an apology to you and your wife. How dare you not let my husband eat his strawberries? I can't. Not that's
As,
how she
as,
sounds, but
as my kids used to say, strawberries. Um,
strawberry, strawberries.
strawberries. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, okay. So I just want to get some context in here. Okay.
And first, I have to say, so Jasmine, this is her fourth rendition, I believe, and I hope I'm not misconstruing who I'm thinking it is, but she has come to several of our portfolio reviews, and she's redone it several times, and I can see. I took a quick look before you actually pulled it up.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I like what you've done, especially if you built it in Webflow. There are two things that I think we'll probably say, but I'll let you.
No,
I'll
no.
let you go. But I have to say, I love the fact that you're leading with your prototypes in some of your work.
Yeah, no,
I think I love your
I'm
work.
even looking at the rest of this because I think a lot of time like we don't put enough time like actually writing an about page, and I say like the about page is important to have because once we know like we like the work, the next thing we want to know is like, do we like the person? Like, and that is the factor between you getting hired or you not getting hired, or you getting that first phone call or you not getting that phone call. So if you learn anything, just like it is important. Like your portfolio is important, but like, are you good with interviewing? Like, do you know how to go to an interview and answer questions? Do you know how to like? There's just so much more like to it, and not this is not necessarily trying to like like we just don't have time to get into all that. But again, Brendan, like if you have the link, you anyone can reach out and then we can dive deeper into any of these things at a later time. But let's dive into Jasmine. Right. Case study. And
Let's actually, instead of Travel Keeper, let's look at growing concerns. I looked at the Travel Keeper, and there was some things that I would change there, but she's done some like the problem salute, because at first I was like, we don't have the challenge the solution breakout in that one, and then I looked at some other ones, and she does have that layout, which is much better.
yeah, I'll follow your lead here. I mean, like I always say, if an image is worth 1,000 words, a prototype is worth a million. Um, like, cause, like everything I could do, like by looking at images, I can do myself. Um, I don't know if you have you ever, well, you probably not experienced that, but there was a time like where we used to send our client like PDF or just images to email, and then you will get, and they will be like, wow, like, and you send them a website to using a PDF just for them to review, and they were like, why aren't any of these links clickable? And then, so this is a real example of why like having prototype is important, because like now you don't have to worry about why aren't any of these like clickable, like, dude, because it's an image. But clients, oh, I love them, they pay the bill. Yeah, this is great. Again, not here to judge the work itself, but just really looking at the overall, the portfolio, um, like the overview, like the challenge and solution. uh, I would probably have them even further up. um, but still great. Love that you have the prototype up front. I can go in there, click on it. I even like that you break it down into like you have like your desktop and then you have a mobile one. Like, this is really, really good way to showcase the work. You probably know what I'm going to say here. Like, I can't click on these images; they are too small. Like, in comparison to the text in here, these images are so small. Like, I can't really see them in their full glory. So I would make them bigger. This is a case where I think this is the case where like a before and after makes sense, because these two things are so drastically different that it's okay to have a before and after. The only thing I would say, again, make them bigger or make them so that I can click on it to really be able to see the differences. And I love that the before, you do not put it on a mock-up, but you put the after on a mock-up, because that's the right thing to do. You do not need to make this one look any better than, you do not want to make the before looks better. You want yours to look better. So having it on a mock-up and all this thing is, it's a nice and sneaky way of giving yourself an advantage. Love that. But yeah, so definitely want to be able to click on this image and make them a little bit bigger. Love, I would probably, like, again, keep in mind, like, people don't read. So if you can some kind of way, like, trim this copy, still tell the same story by trimming the copy. One tip I will say, like, and I'm not a copywriter, like, if you take this thing and you go to Chat GPT and then you paste it in there and just literally put shorten and then paste it in there, it will rewrite this for you on a shorter version while you're still saying the exact same thing, just shorter. I should know, because I don't like to write, and when I do, I need help. So it's okay. We're using AI and every tool that we have on our disposal for our benefit. They're not here to replace us, but they're here to help us. So here's a tip for you. And I think our Discord channel actually has a free Chat GPT. Brendan, you can talk more about that, because that's your thing.
Yeah, I mean, you pose a good point where what I like to do with ChatGPT is, especially if there's a big block of text, what I ask it to do is to bullet point it, especially with these sort of things. Guys, I got learning disabilities out the ass. So, like, when we, what are they called? You're not psychotherapy. I don't know the one that gives you the drugs, but they couldn't give me enough. I'm not even on any anymore. What is it? What did Kanye say when they tried to give him all those drugs and they were like, oh, and he was like, they tried to.
Focus, Brendan.
Okay, sorry, you gotta go. Right, okay. And yeah, Chat GPT, ask it to pull it in bullet points. There we go.
Yeah, no, and I think, like, overall, I think, so key takeaway, I think, like, this is, like, I'm sorry, but I can't say I remember what it used to look like before, but this has definitely improved. The key takeaway, I would say, like, those images that you do have in here, like, again, you probably know where I'm gonna go with these insights, and I think these are great to have, but I don't think you need, like, the visuals and that much copy and all of these extra things with it. I think you have enough in the design just to let them shine and just let them be. Make these images a little bit bigger, shorten the copy, and if you're not a great writer, use ChatGPT. And I think somebody, like, was it like on one of the portfolio review earlier, somebody was like, oh, I'm just not good at writing. Well, that's okay. Get some help from your AI friend. And I promise you, I don't get paid for these. I'm not getting paid by OpenAI or whatever. Like, I'm not promoting Chat. Like, I just use it, and I think there's some advantage to it. Obviously, don't just copy and paste what they provide you. You add a little bit of twist and things to it, make it your own. But that could be one way to do this. Yeah. So the only thing I would say, like, trim the copy in here, and the images that you do have, just make them bigger, make them shine. They are the main characters, so give them the stage to themselves. But overall, like, this looks really great. Brendan, I think you had something you wanted to say about this. I'll let you do that while I take a look at or YouTube and see if there's any questions and anything like that I can answer before I dipped out.
Got you. Honestly, I think we might. I don't want to ask it. I've been going back and forth. My fingers have been going fast, and I don't want to keep you any longer than you already have. But ladies and gentlemen, if you do have any more questions, give me a second here. I love how we're looking. Is that that's why you have you're practicing your swing today? Yeah.
No,
I didn't realize that was the golf thing back there.
No, that's my
Um,
putter. That's my putter. You know, I will go out and
yeah,
play around, maybe like 9 holes, something.
I got you. Now I know what it is. I've always wondered what that mat. I thought maybe you were stretching or something back there. I thought that joint was a yoga mat.
No,
Um,
I do be stretching.
but
So
all right, guys.
I got off for frame for a little bit. I was just checking my work laptop. I'm sorry.
No,
I
you're
had to.
good. You're a-okay. But ladies and gentlemen, listen. Jasmine, first off, I see that you were trying to use Chat GPT to write a case study. What I would do, like how you, because GPT is kind of dumb a little bit.
Yes.
You really have to be very specific on how you prompt it. So you want to give it very, like, start giving it, don't give it like a whole wall of text, and do not ask it how to write a case study. It will not know. Like, for example, if you have a long block of text for your problem statement and your solution statement, what you would do is just give it that paragraph, ask it to summarize it, write it as if you're trying to explain to a fifth grader, and have it bullet pointed. I would not give it a wall of text and try to make it summarize it, because you're going to have to go through that, and it's just going to be a mess. Unless you're like a super prompter, and like how to really make it so that it can take that wall of text and be efficient with it. I'm not even there. So just try to give it bits and pieces at a time to simplify and bullet point. But yeah, I saw that you said, you'll try again. Maybe that you gave it a too large of a text block. But one thing at a time, like, because of the most important things are the problem, solution, and then maybe just even asking it to write like subhead, or give it a wall of like, for example, like the design section that you're kind of talking about. Maybe you have a blurb for that. Asking it to write a headline, a subheadline, and having it rewrite it to have the user understand without even going into the paragraph text, just what you're trying to describe. It's hard to explain without actually using ChatGPT, but we probably need a whole another thing to explain that. But we don't have enough time to do that today, so I'm gonna just kind of try to sign off here. But what I highly would recommend is two things. One, Jaslin Tonton has one-on-ones, guys. I said this in the beginning, but he is opening up a wait list for people like yourselves to do a little bit of a deeper dive and actually work with you one-on-one on what it is that you're trying to do. And really just trying to perfect, rather than, this is kind of like the intro level of what we're discussing here, but he will go extra steps with you guys and actually take you by the hand with anything, case studies, portfolio, and even give you guys feedback on, or not feedback, but helping you guys direct you on your journey to getting your job, transitioning, things like that. So
Yeah.
links to that is in the description. I'll also put it in the chat here yet again, so sign up. Guys, Tonton is with us 1 to 2 times a month, and it's not enough because there's a lot of people that want portfolio reviews, but it's worth your time and your investment to work with him one-on-one.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, to add to that, like, like on the one-on-one session. So one thing we can't do in here is really just, like, whether it's a group session, whether it's a one-on-one session. So the one thing we're not doing here is, like I mentioned before, like, the portfolio is just one part of getting the job, right? Like, are you ready for that interview? Are you transitioning from one position to another? Like, like, if we do, like, and to say also, another thing I want to mention, like, when we do sign up, like, it's not just going to be just me, like, because I've never transitioned from one job to another, but I do have other people that have, like, the expertise in that specific department that will come on board. Right now, there won't be like a video thing where, like, you just watch a video. Like, it will actually be us working together and getting you to where you need to be. So just wanted to reiterate that point.
For sure. So, ladies and gentlemen, also on top of that, last thing, if you guys are in our community, which is probably how you found out about this session, every Wednesday at 1 p.m. EST, we have office hours, aka design and chat, where we go through very similar things like this, but more importantly, we talk through not only what you're dealing with design, helping you through that, but also how to work within EditorX, which is a no-code platform that is sponsoring all this content, or really sponsoring the community, helping you guys get the resources that you need. And yeah, so we're there for you, not only Jaslin, but in the community as well. All right, Jaslin, do you have any final words for us, sir?
Yeah, it looked like I was picking my nose there. I wasn't. That's all. Like it was on the bridge of it.
No nose hair was picked here today.
No nose was picked. That's it. That's the only thing I got to add to this. And I'm going to chime down on some strawberries as soon as I log off.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much. Everybody is really thankful. And guys, remember to join the wait list. You can find Jaslin on LinkedIn and all the other social media platforms down in the description. We will see you later. One last applause for Jaslin Tonton. Thank you so much for hanging out, man. I appreciate it. All right, dude. So take it easy, ladies and gentlemen. Your boy Brandon Groce and Jaslin Tonton out. We will let you know when the next portfolio review will be. Stay tuned in our community Discord and for more amazing, not just projects, but more offers from Tonton. He's got some business things in the works. Everybody keeps blowing him up on Slack. He's a busy man. All right, guys, take it easy. Jaslin, any final words?
Nah, I'll see you, cousin.
All right. Take it easy. Have a great Friday, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching and tuning into this episode of Real Talk, brought to you by EditorX, the world's most powerful no-code web design platform for designers and creatives alike. If you want to watch more amazing videos like this, check out our playlist down in the description with all of our Real Talk episodes, including other educational videos like EditorX tutorials. And also, do not forget to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you get notified each week when we go live, and of course, if you feel so inclined, don't forget to smash the like button because it helps us reach more creatives like yourself each and every day. With that said, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and I hope to see you guys on the next video. Brandon Groce, out.